What is up, guys? Welcome back to Life on News. Hope you guys are doing well today. We're going to be discussing a really exciting thing that has happened basically in the history of the world. If you didn't see, SpaceX launched one of the first manned missions from US soil, and we're going to be discussing the watches that the astronauts are wearing, because that was one of the things we saw during the launch that really caught our eye, being that we love watches. But before we get into that, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new to Life on the Wrist. Also, don't forget to hit the like button for us. It really does help us out. Also, if you didn't see our launch video for our Life on the Wrist clothing line, we released a collection. Right now it's just a collection of t-shirts, but sports shirts. This is part of the launch collection. So if you want to pick one of these up, be sure to check out lifeonthewrist.com/clothing. It'll be in the description if you want to check them out. So back to the topic at hand. Like I said, SpaceX, which is a aerospace company, launched a mission to go to the International Space Station, and they had two astronauts who were manning this spacecraft, and we caught a glimpse of a watch that each of them was wearing. If you don't know about SpaceX is like I said, aerospace company that's owned by Elon Musk, and they've really kind of brought space exploration to the forefront of people's minds. And there was kind of a bit of a lull where people weren't really, it wasn't at the forefront of what society was really thinking about, but they have kind of launched a bunch of incredible spacecrafts. I don't know if you've ever watched the Falcon Heavy launches, but they are absolutely epic to watch. The spacecraft that was launched, it was last Saturday, was the Falcon 9, and this was crewed by Crew Dragon, who were in the capsule of this spacecraft. And the two astronauts that were manning this spacecraft they were Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, and they were both going to go to the International Space Station to do some work there. And again, like I said, this was the first time that they were going to be where a spacecraft was going to be a manned spacecraft would be launched from US soil and would go to the International Space Station. I think it had been about 9 years since we had done something like that, or the United States had done something like that. And of course, one thing with Elon Musk's companies are they're extremely futuristic, and they focus on ease of use and very, very aesthetically pleasing interiors. So when you see inside of this space, inside of the capsule, you can see these monitor displays right in front of the astronauts, which is a very it just reminds you of what Elon Musk really values when he creates things. For example, in his Tesla cars, everything is very simplistic. Everything is controlled by the big tablet that you have in front of your screen, and it kind of translated into this Falcon launch, the Falcon 9 launch. So of course, the first thing that I started doing was looking at the wrists, because obviously I know that watches have a big relationship with space exploration. Back in the 60s, the Omega Speedmaster was the watch that was used by NASA astronauts when they first went into space. So Omega really has a very close connection with NASA and space exploration. And of course, when you looked at the individual's wrists, what you end up seeing was the X33 from Omega sitting on their wrist. This is the digital, it's a digital Omega Speedmaster Professional that Omega produces for NASA astronauts. This mission was actually a partnership of NASA as well as SpaceX, so it was only fitting that they were wearing the X33. The X33 is extremely rare Omega Speedmaster to come across, and what's interesting about this is there actually was not a very broken up history of the watches that were used by NASA astronauts. Prior to the X33, the Omega Speedmaster was actually the watch that was used by astronauts. So it's interesting that there's only really been two watches that NASA astronauts have utilized. One thing that was really interesting about the X33 is it is a little bit more of like a futuristic iteration on the Omega Speedmaster. Obviously, you have it's not the customary Speedmaster where you have a black dial, white accents on it, and three dot chronograph register. It's it's a lot more futuristic looking. You have this really interesting crown that almost looks like a screw, and then you have all these buttons on the outside, and this red chronograph hand, and then you have the date, obviously Thursday. You have the date that's on the kind of digital display. What's nice about this watch is it actually kind of matched the interior of the SpaceX capsule. You have these, like I said, these touch display systems right in front of the astronaut's face, but then you look at their watch and it's also kind of in that futuristic vibe. This launch was actually incredible to watch. I don't know if you guys tuned in to watch it, but it was amazing to see each of the parts break off of the capsule, and then obviously I think the first stage of the Falcon 9 is one that can land itself. So when that broke off, you actually saw it land onto one of the I forget what it's called. I think it's called Honey I Love You, something like that. But you saw it land itself, which means it can be reusable, which is a big thing about what kind of makes SpaceX different from a lot of the other space exploration companies. And then you saw this capsule just kind of take off by itself, and really at that point the astronauts were by themselves. They were entering into orbit and continued to orbit until they made it to the space station. What was really cool to see is, so after the launch, I think it was about a 19-hour flight from that point until they actually were able to dock at the International Space Station. I didn't see the watches on their wrists when they entered the ISS finally, but it was really cool to see how it would dock. And space exploration is something that's really, really fascinating to me, and I think one of the things that really captured me, one was the landing of the first stage. I think it was the first stage, yeah, landing of the first stage, the flight path for the actual capsule to the ISS and docking there, but also just how dark it is up there, especially when you saw them dock onto the ISS. It is like pitch black. I know this sounds really, really stupid for me to say, but I never really realized how dark it really was when you look at those when you look at space like that. It was interesting to see. Like I said, it's cool to see the X-33. I believe they're only given to NASA astronauts. You're not able to commercially buy them. I believe that is correct. If I'm not, let me know in the comment section below. But such a cool launch, and it was cool to see that there were watches on people's wrists during this launch. I think as a watch enthusiast, it would be that would be one of the things that would keep me company. You know, a 19-hour flight in space is probably pretty lonely. They did have companionship, being that Hurley and Benkin were together in the capsule, but I think it would be something I'd look down on my wrist and say, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this, and this watch is sharing in this experience with me. Yeah, it's just, I thought it was a really cool thing to see it on their wrists, and wanted to share it with you guys if you hadn't seen it. So yeah, that's kind of our topic for today. Like I said in the beginning of the video, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're going to talk about watches, but I think we're going to kind of take a page out of the Urban Gentry's book and try and apply watches to a little bit more than just covering watches itself. Maybe going a little bit more into sartorial, thinking about from other topics that we're interested in, how watches could apply to them. I love watches. It's definitely not going to go away, but maybe applying it to things like big missions like the SpaceX mission, and I think that would be a fun thing to kind of add to our channel. So be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos. Also, don't forget to hit that like button for us if you like this Omega X-33. It's a very, very interesting watch, and I think there's a Talking Watches episode with David Williams, and he discusses this watch as well. Also, if you didn't hear us in the beginning of the video, we have just launched the Life on the Wrist clothing line. This is part of the launch collection. It's an athletic shirt with the Life on the Wrist logo on the front and launch collection on the neck of this shirt. We're going to be putting the collection names on all of our collections so that you know which one it comes from. So be sure to check this out at lifeonthewrist.com/clothing. And with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time.